Hello, author friends. This is William Searles with the New York Critique. The first thing I would like to do is once again thank all of you for your support. We're still relatively new to social media, particularly here on TikTok. I don't know how much longer TikTok can be around. Personally, I'd be surprised if it goes away, and if it does, I don't think it'll last for long. We're also still new to YouTube as well. We appreciate you following our page, watching our videos, liking the videos, sharing the videos, and commenting on those videos. It means a lot to us, and I promise you we're going to do our best to continue to provide content that hopefully has a positive impact on your careers and lives as writers. What I want to talk about today kind of stems from a conversation I had last night with some writer friends. We were talking about bad guys and bad guys that we like in stories. And the two stories that came up, before I go any further, if you haven't watched Dexter or Breaking Bad yet, and are going to watch those things, turn this off because there's some spoiler alerts here. But we were talking about the difference between Dexter Morgan and how his fate ended up in the original series and how Walter White's fate ended up in the show. And first of all, a general rule of thumb: if you have a good guy and a bad guy in your story, there's always the rare exception, unless you're doing a series or a trilogy or something like that. In your first writing, do not let the bad guy win. And in real life, it's an unfortunate truth that the bad guys sometimes win. But as readers, the subconscious part of us does not want to see people get away with doing bad things. And Dexter, just to put it in a quick nutshell, is a blood specialist Miami cop who analyzes crime scenes. And he had a very traumatic childhood, and he really ends up becoming a serial killer that kills serial killers. And though he's providing an awesome service for the world, that show in back writing circles is considered to have one of the worst endings in the history of writing, because though Dexter was killing bad guys and making it safer for the rest of us, he was still killing. And at the end of the series, he just kind of rode off into the ocean. And what had to happen, period, is because Dexter, even though he's providing a service, because Dexter is a killer, he still had to pay the price. And in his case, it had to be death. And again, our subconscious couldn't handle it. And going backwards, it was considered one of the worst endings in the history of series, particularly for a series that was as effective and as entertaining as Dexter. In fact, they had to reboot the show about 10 years later to make it right, where they ended up having his son kill him. But I think it kind of fell flat in the grand scheme of things. On the other side of the coin, let's compare Dexter to Breaking Bad. Just quick summary of who Walter White is. He is a high school chemistry teacher, finds out he's got cancer, realizes his family is going to be broke when he dies, so he decides to become a meth dealer. Early in the show pretty much, it's borderline comical. He's a stumbling, super nice, guy next door that joined or teams up with one of his former students to cook meth. And it's kind of funny as it gets going and as the story continues to progress, the story gets darker along with Walter's personality. Walter goes from this beautiful guy who wants to provide from his family, and he still wants to provide from his family, but the way he goes about doing it is in a bad way. And when the series is all said and done, Walter, again, he still loves his family. He still wants to provide for his family. His life kind of falls apart because he, at the end of the day, he is a drug dealer that, provides drugs to the world. He ends up becoming a murderer. And, he does those things to keep his empire going. But the way Vince Gilligan, who's the writer of the show, brilliant writer, by the way, also did a lot of the X-Files and did a funny show called Hancock way back. If you get a chance, check him out. One of the most underrated writers of all time. He knows the rules of writing. And as much as he tricked us, which is good writing, into falling in love with Walter and being on Walter's side, at the end of the show, everybody in this show that did evil or committed evil ended up paying the price. You think about it, Walter gets killed at the end. Again, great guy, you love him, it's depressing, but as readers, we want, or the subconscious part of us realizes, as much as we like the character, that evil must be repaid. The bad guy cannot win. Walter dies. You got Gus Fring, the drug lord. He dies. You got Mike, the bodyguard. He dies. You got Jesse Pinkman, who doesn't die, and it's kind of, he was Walter's right-hand man in his drug empire. He doesn't die, but arguably he is much worse off, believe it or not, because every person he loved dies, and he ends up being broke. And they went on to do a series about him, and frankly, I think that kind of fell flat as well. Not a series, they did a show. But he also paid the price. And the lawyer, Saul Goodman, who helped Walter with his illegal enterprise, they went on and did a brilliant series called Better Call Saul, and Saul ends up paying the price as well by ultimately serving what's going to be a life sentence in jail. So what do you think about, again, if it's a standalone book, you got good versus evil, it's very, very rare for evil to prevail. And again, I already said this once, in the real world, sometimes the bad guy wins, but in your writing, keep in mind that the subconscious of your reader needs good to prevail over evil. Do not let the bad guy get away with it. Again, if you're doing a series, he can get away with it the first version, second version, but the third version, I'm sure the third book in the group, somehow that bad guy's got to pay the price. Very, very, think about it. How many good books out there? Very few, one out of a gazillion, is where the bad guy wins. And I promise you, in most cases where the bad guy wins, the book failed commercially. So just a reminder, good must win over evil. Don't let the bad guy win. Keep that in mind in your stories. Stop by thenerdcritique.com, say hello, check out some tabs, check out some of our services. If you got any questions or anything that's particularly you want me to speak about, give us a shout. I'll do my best to get it on here. Happy writing. Have a great day.